Teams from the tiny conferences, bowl games with the funny names. Mark Rogers TV in our first week of bowl coverage. Our first game is coming up this Friday, December 15th, the Gildan, New Mexico Bowl. Now keep in mind when we knock out our predictions that our percentage goes up as the stakes get higher, as the bowl games get more important, as teams with little numbers next to their names, meaning they are ranked, come into play. For the last 2 years, let's run it down. We were 24-11 straight up. We'll take that any year. 24 of 35 straight up. And 2 years ago, we were 23-12 straight up. Not bad there as well. 21-14 against the spread 2 years ago. Now, we admit, much of a downer last year against the spread. While we were 24-11 straight up, against the spread 15-20. But keep in mind, again, we missed our first 5 predictions last year against the spread, picking those games in the Sun Belt, the Mountain West, teams from the MAC and the WAC. Those teams we don't see on a regular basis during the season while we're focusing on the SEC and the Big 12 and the Big 10 and the Pac-12, ACC, etc. So keep that in mind as we run down our predictions again this season. We got much better toward New Year's Day. Let's run them down, beginning with coming up this Saturday. Arizona, Nevada in the Gildan, New Mexico Bowl, where they play, of course, in New Mexico, Albuquerque to be exact. Both high-flying offenses, poor defenses from both Arizona and Nevada. The Wildcats are a 9.5-point favorite. We've got 2 of the leading rushers in the country coming into this game in Kadeem Carey and Stephon Jefferson of Nevada, both with over 1,700 yards rushing. If you run down the quality of competition, of course, though, Pac-12 much better than what Nevada has faced in the Mountain West. So we like Arizona to not only win the game outright, but the Wildcats will cover the 9.5 points in New Mexico. Next game coming up on Saturday, we've got the famous Idaho Potato Bowl with Utah State at 10-2, taking on the Toledo Rockets at 9-3, 6-2 in the MAC Conference. Now in this game, Utah State has played extremely well consistently from game 1 through the rest of the season. Their 2 losses to BYU, 6-3, and Wisconsin at 16-14. Utah State came into this game in Boise last year and lost a nail-biter to the Bobcats of Ohio, 24-23, right at the gun. We expect Utah State to avenge that loss against the MAC from last season, win this game against the Toledo Rockets. However, the Rockets do cover 10.5 points. The spread much too big in this game. So Utah State wins. The Aggies move on to 11-2. The Rockets fall in this one, but cover 10.5 points. And then finally, we've got the San Diego County Credit Union Poinsettia Bowl with BYU and San Diego State. 2 old rivals from the WAC. They met for the last time 2 years ago, then parted ways. BYU dominated this series from 1978 through 2010 at 27-7. 2 very different teams on the field right now. We've got BYU performing very well despite the 7-5 record. If you look at the score lines for the Cougars this season, of course, Notre Dame is playing in a national championship game. BYU went to South Bend, only lost 17-14. Also, they lost at Boise 7-6. And the defense for the Cougars, one of the best in the country statistically, giving up just 14.7 points per game. That is 5th best in the country. So we like BYU to win a close game and to cover 2.5 points against San Diego State. So here are the picks for week 1 of Bowl Week. We've got Arizona minus 9.5 over Nevada. We've got Toledo covering 10.5 against Utah State, but the Aggies win the game outright. And we also have BYU minus 2.5 against San Diego State. Week 1 of our bowl coverage, just 3 games, but of course we've got 32 to go, so a lot of bowl play left to be tackled here on Mark Rogers TV.